Just letting you know this is only my spoiler first impressions of the episode. Check my pinned comment for a free gift related to this video. And to watch my unfiltered reactions with exclusive bonuses, join my Asha Media TV Club. The link is in the description box below. Now, here's my afterthoughts of this episode of Fringe.
Okay. Very similar to the previous episode. I got conflicting feelings and thoughts. So, combo of both. Okay. I like to start with the bad, end off with the good. I hope you don't mind that. And not necessarily the bad, just the wah-wah. Just, wah-wah. The meh of the episode. For me personally. It was a bit corny with the whole thing, with the husband and wife. At the beginning part, where she's describing their relationship and what was going on with them, I was very in tune with that, and I was fine with it. It's the part when they're trying to get her to realize it's not her husband, all of that effort being put in to have Peter say his spiel, have Olivia be influenced by it, that leads up to the ending of it. When essentially she just needed to hear the fact that he's referring to children she never had. That really was the key sentence of all of that. I couldn't help but wonder if all this time she's trying to communicate with that version, the conversation of them having children never came up. Him saying that, right? It's just the opportune time to have him say that at that moment. I don't know. For me, I just had a hard time buying it. But I understand what they're trying to show with it. But it doesn't mean that it resonated as strongly as perhaps it may have for you. So for me, bit too corny. Okay, that's really the only meh of the whole thing. So let's then move on to the good stuff. Peter and Olivia. I didn't think it would happen so damn soon. I speak too soon. I'm telling you. I think I might play the lottery this week because what I kept kind of saying, although I'm expecting it to be, I thought like at least the next few episodes, they would work their way up to that point. But hey, all in one episode, I get my Peter and Olivia finalizing their feelings. I just like that. Come on over. Let's go upstairs. And I can't help but wonder now, this whole thing for Olivia being pregnant, and then, these two are going to be hooking up. So, that's the soap opera territory that I'm used to. And there are storylines like that in Bold and the Beautiful. Anyways, okay, I'm not going to harp on that. But, I'm happy with that as a definite bonus from this episode. And the introduction, or reintroduction more or less, of the Amber, because reminding me of that episode with the bus fits in nicely with bringing it back and tying it in to Walter having to make these decisions and have these similar qualms that he is now empathizing to some degree with Walter Nate, which is good to see. Well, there was something else that I'm very now excited at, because for them to bring it up in dialogue, and I'm trying not to take anything for granted with what they say, because most of the time when I do take it for granted, it's brought back to my attention in comments that leads into clues that I've completely missed. So when he brought up that whole thing about Billy, what do you call it again? Magnet soul thing, the soul magnet. I was like, oh, okay, this talk of afterlife, and we've had a couple of episodes that talk about, not a couple, the most recent one with the ballerina. That was an episode, and then we have the episode that I've made mention to or reference to as well, the one that's not taken all that into canon of things, but I still think it's relevant when it comes to the question of soul and reanimation and all that. And I'm wondering if this whole talk about the soul magnet is a clue into a future episode where perhaps they will encounter an energy source that could be viewed scientifically as a soul. and it will have a consciousness that perhaps might reanimate a body, an actual body. Fringe style, of course. I just don't think they would have brought that up unless it was going to come up at some point, right? What else? I'm thinking now, okay, so we're at the point where Primeverse is now, their aspects of things breaking apart is, I don't know if it's going to match up to where the Redverse is at, because, this is really just the signs of deterioration of two worlds now, which Walter caused in the end, one way or the other, whether we like it or not. They've shown, it's such a weird thing to grapple with it, because the poetry of him destroying the world to save his son, or version of his son, and then just the reality of the fact that the world is being destroyed by the one action he took to save Peter, and now both worlds, and then one Walternate's trying to save their own world, and this Walternate now is I'm fascinated to see if they're going to bring things at an even playing field, and it really is just going to come down to one final act of some kind that destroys the universe. So, I'm just going to put it out there, okay? I'm just wondering if this show is really going to be the first show I ever watch that has an end of world scenario that plays out. That actually plays out. I think there's only one movie I could think of, and I don't want to say the name of the movie, but you might know it, where it's the end of the world situation, and it actually ends. The world actually ends. That'd be pretty interesting, because to me, the principle of cause and effect, I'd like to see that for a change, rather than something that just comes in and saves the day. Yeah. But likely that's not the case, since we have observers, right? I have to always remember them. They're in the picture somehow. And if they're coming from a particular future, as I've been saying, which future is it? Primeverse future or Redverse future? I'm thinking Primeverse future, since Redverse, apparently there's no introduction of an alternate version of them. And that's been confirmed. Whether you view that as a spoiler or not, it's been confirmed with me that observers there aren't doubles of them in the Redverse. So I can only presume they're from the Primeverse then, since those are the only two universes that this show deals with, apparently. Okay. What's my favorite scene? Because now I'm just focusing on the episode as much as possible, not try to think too much ahead, even though it's hard at times, but okay, let me take a browse real quick around. Because I try to pick as I go, and the first scene that I was like, okay, that's definitely memorable, is how those people fell to their deaths. And the way Walter described it as, what do you call it? A flash mob suicide? Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. But then it moved on to, yeah, I'd have to say the scene between Walter and Nina is my favorite. And her ending it off with, well, you gotta learn, because it is, in a sense, a bigger picture, but more or less, if anything, I think that's a turning point for Walter. That's what it seems like. This experience and what he is now grappling with in terms of the reality of the consequences of his actions and what's happening between worlds, it's really hit home for him. And having Nina show her support to help him along the way. Although it does still make me suspicious of Nina. And I think Nina's meant to be that character where you just don't know. Is her support going to lean Walter in the right direction or the wrong direction? You know, what's her motives? What are her intentions? Because now William Bell is out of the picture. Walter here's the CEO of Massive Dynamic. Where does that leave her? playing on his team to save their universe, or perhaps coming up with something else. All their resources and power. So fascinated. And having a character like Nina that you just don't know, it keeps me as a viewer on my toes of like, okay, even though it's cool what's going on with her and Walter, and they've got a very decent, honest-like friendship, she just might do something that won't surprise me, but still surprise me. You know what I mean? Okay, all right. That's all I gotta say for now. I really, now I'm just going to enjoy as much feedback as I get about each episode and take it from there. So, Ashamoji-wise, I have to give it a 3, people. I have to give it a 3. Not sure what it is that bugs me about it, to be honest. I don't know. So for now, that's what I'm giving you, okay? That's what I'm giving you. If I change my mind, I will bring it up in the next reaction video. But for now, 3 solid Ashamojis is my rating for this episode. So there you have it. That's my reaction to episode 14 from the 3rd season of Fringe. Now that I have Peter and Olivia together in the Prime verse and a faux Olivia pregnant with his baby in the Red verse, I very much am looking forward to watching episode 15 and sharing my reaction to it with you. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm peacing out for now. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos.